How y'all determining who used AI?
I mean, the biggest indicator is them dashes.
Yep.
I think we should be using AI to make our life easier and simpler. The thing is, like, right, like if you're using AI to just tell straight out lies, it's like, why is that beneficial to anyone? You're gonna end up making yourself look stupid. I could care less about a resume. Like I'm all about that LinkedIn. It's almost like checking somebody's Instagram. Like if the Instagram look a little weird, then I'm gonna have my doubts about how you actually operate in real life. So I need your LinkedIn to be a good representation of how I feel like you come across as like a professional.
Welcome back to the Textual Talk Podcast. I'm your host, HD. And if you're still in the video right now, hit the like button. You don't got to subscribe yet. Keep watching. You'll probably subscribe later. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you frequent podcast listenership, please follow us and leave us a comment or a review. Now, today's guest has been on the show. I think we were talking earlier. We don't know if it's 2 or 3 years ago at this point. I mean, we just living here. But there's none other than Mr. Nate Wiley, a.k.a. It's an infinite or infinite? Infinite talent. And he definitely is going to come kick some game to you today about what recruiters look for when they look at your resume, why y'all have been spamming AI and it's really hurting your job's chances, and much, much more. So, Nate, man, thank you for pulling up on me today, man.
Nah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite back. You done leveled up. I think it was just a Zoom call or Google Meet, whatever it was last time.
Yeah, I think it was Riverside. That's what I started off on, Riverside. And
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go ahead and go forward. So like before, I think I've been recording here since late October, I think. Because before that, the address that you sent, that's to the studio downtown. So I used to go downtown and record, which I didn't mind, but it used to start becoming a little track because I stay.
That's
in
why I
Aubrey.
confirmed. I was like, well, you're a little piece down there.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
I'm staying up in Plano, so I was like, okay. let me
No,
check.
I thought I changed it. It should have said with the address I sent you. It should have said that in the thing. So I had to double back and change it because honestly, I haven't had a lot of people that have came up here to record outside of people who's just already in the area. So
Nah, I appreciate it, man. Happy to be back.
yeah, man. So for the people who didn't see that last episode, just a brief intro about yourself.
All right, so Nate Wiley, as you mentioned, recruiting sort of subject matter expert, if I can call myself that. But just actually, December makes 15 years in recruiting. So I started out staffing, moved in house. So I done worked in like finance and worked in manufacturing, and worked in distribution, and worked in big tech. Now I primarily focus on startups, doing consulting. So consulting can be, retainer, fractional gigs. It can be contingent searches. It can be project-based work. But at the end of the day, most time I'm working with founders to try to find, some of that niche talent, usually like bootstrap, Series A type startups.
Great. We'll definitely talk about that. I want to talk about so you got 14 years of TA experience. Talk about a little bit about. I remember we talked about. I think we got like your first start when you was. I think you was at one of those contractor joints where y'all was having to get people last for the social and.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
all that type of
staffing.
stuff. Yeah.
Hopefully they still don't have to do that, but I
Man,
wouldn't
they
be
do.
surprised. They do?
They be asking people for like they last four pictures of their ID and stuff now, all type of stuff.
I say that, but I imagine it has gotten worse because even applicants are kind of fake now. So the whole point of doing that was really just because these at the time I was sort of contracting for, I think like AT&T was like the biggest client, but they work with like hundreds of different staffing agencies, and basically we was calling all the same people. And so you need like a unique identifier because it could be 3 Nate Wileys out there. So they need to be able to keep track of, who submitted this Nate Wiley for which position. Mm-hmm. And so that's why some were like last four, but some were like full social, which even to this day is crazy, especially with all the like stolen identity and stuff out there. So hopefully they figured out a new way around, being able to sort of put that identifier on a person. But yeah, like I've been hung up on so many times back then. I was so glad. That was one of the main drivers I wanted to go in-house. I was like, I like recruiting, but this is terrible. It just felt too scammy sometimes.
Yeah, man. It's like That's why I started laughing at you talking about it, because like you'll know when a job is probably hiring for like all the same roles, because you're gonna see all the same people hit your LinkedIn with the same message. And some people, I don't know, believe if they doing it right or not, because the signature from the email has somebody else's name. So I'm just like, are you really a recruiter, or are you trying to scam people out here?
Like what does it's just a different name or is like a different title?
I actually show you right now, because I was like, I wasn't gonna respond to it anyway, because I was like, I don't even know who this person is, because like now LinkedIn try to do the thing like verified recruiter or whatever, but I'm like, I'm still not sure you're a verified recruiter. So look at his name, but then look at the rest of the email. So it's like his name on LinkedIn versus what he sent. So
Oh yeah, this overseas too.
I'm like, bro, did you just copy and paste something from somebody else you saw online, or did you forget to change the signature?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I pay attention to little stuff like that. I have to pay attention to, because it
Nah,
means something to me.
that's a big red flag. Even if they copy and paste that message, and that could be, I imagine, especially an agency like that, they probably, the company itself might be U.S. based, and then they contract out all the recruiters overseas because you can pay them a lot less. And I'm sure it's literally just a thing of just copy and pasting a script and just shotgunning that out to as many people as possible and just seeing what bites they get. So it could be a legit opportunity, but the operation side of it is kind of trash and sort of like fly by night type of deal.
Yeah, and honestly, I really have never had no success with those type of recruiters anyway.
It depends on who you are and what you're looking for. Like I do know some people who like that's kind of the way they do their career. Like they do a lot of these short-term contracts through companies like that, and they just kind of stack them back to back. But the majority of people do avoid that. It's just like anything else, right? You get contacted about, like you don't trust it, you don't want to really deal with it. There's probably like a big language barrier. So I think it's just a matter of where you are in your career, right? Like if you got a solid career going and you have opportunities that are legit, it's like why even entertain that kind of stuff? But there could be people out there who actually need to entertain that because they are struggling to find something. So in those cases, why don't do nothing stupid, right? Like don't fall for a African prince trying to make you rich type of scam. But like, why don't you just lump all that into, all right, this is part of my job search. Like I'll exchange some columns with them and see how it goes. But if it comes off too scammy, you don't trust it, like just stop. Like it's not gonna cost you anything.
Right.
So, but I get it to be like completely dismissive.
Yeah, back then being a recruiter like that, how did pay work? Was it like commission based, or how did it work?
Mostly commission. When I started, it was like a base of $35K, and then you get commissions off of whatever it's called, like your spread. So essentially, it was all contract work. So whatever your margin is, of course, like increases your commission. So if you could work out a deal to where you could bill AT&T for $115 an hour, and then you negotiate the contract with them for $100 an hour, and then you get that $15 spread, and then you get like commission off of that every hour work. So it was cool, man. I think if you want to be a recruiter, or back then, if you want to be a recruiter, it was the best way to kind of get your foot in the door. But again, like it was very, it was all literally like cold call. Like that's when it was Monster, Career Builder. You get a rec come through and literally like you just hit the boards, and anybody that had those keywords, you call them, shoot an email, and like it's really like that was the only way to even operate. Like it wasn't like a silver bullet to it. Like you just had to outwork your own team members, because usually it was like 2 or 3 of y'all working on the same role, and then once you get like 2 or 3 of your best submits put in, the AE or somebody be like, all right, we got enough on that, y'all switch to this one, and that's what work was.
Yeah. And so you say, so what's the difference with the account executive versus like what you were doing? What are they managing?
So account execs basically kind of responsible for managing the relationship with the client. So usually the account exec are the ones who, depending on how senior their team was, they may have oversight over who was actually being submitted. So like when a recruiter first started, an account exec usually wouldn't give them access to like either the VMS, so I think it's called like the vendor management system, and so the VMS is sort of like the portal between the agencies and the client, and so everybody that's working on those roles are submitting people into the VMS, and so the account exec is usually the one. As a recruiter, I would send my people to the account exec. He'll make sure they solid and then submit them to the VMS. And the ultimate goal of the account exec was to try to get as close as possible to whoever the decision maker was at the client, which was always interesting because the client hires a VMS to put a buffer between them and the agencies, right? It's like, we don't want to hear from all these account execs. We don't want to hear from all these recruiters. You all manage that relationship and then like just make sure we're getting the best people. Basically, the job of the account exec was to find ways around the VMS and get directly to whoever was like doing the interviews, like whoever the hiring manager was, to be able to say like, hey, like I got these two strong candidates. I don't even have to put them in the VMS. Like, let me just send them to you directly. So that was ultimately what the account exec does. Is like, how do we fast track this money? Basically, like we don't want it to be like a heads up competition between all these other agencies. Like, how do we make it to where like we're your preferred person and we can go directly to you?
Okay, it makes sense. 'Cause I think I've talked to a couple of account execs in the past. I'm like, yeah, we worked with this company for like 15 years. We placed over like 60 people with them, and so we get preferential treatment because they know we always send a good applicant. So
that's the name of the game. Like, yeah, if you could do that, and then it was also to like expand the business. So just like with any other type of sales role, like you may be working with 1 to 2 hiring managers, and let's say you're working on 3 to 5 different roles. Like how do you get access to other hiring managers that may be hiring for other positions and try to like expand your footprint at that client? And so it was just all about the dollars. And then it's always, them that usually putting out any sort of fires. Their job was also to make sure recruiters are spending their time on what's going to move the fastest or what we have the best percentage of actually winning, and make sure like we're not spinning our wheels on stuff. Because that's what a lot of it is, right? Like you can work a couple of days on something, and by the time you find 2 good people, it's like, oh yeah, they done close that up. Like it's
but even worse, you're the recruiters like working with a company and they not even responding to the recruiter like, hey.
Oh, that's to this day. Like that's even in-house recruiting.
Yeah.
Like it's, they can usually do a kickoff meeting. They tell you how important something is. Recruiter, run out, try to find the best people, and then sometimes you might not even hear back, for a week or so.
It's been longer than a week on some of them. I'm just like, bro, at this point, I just go apply internally versus with y'all because they not telling y'all nothing, and y'all like pretty much wasting time. And well, they not wasting time, but the company is wasting time by not knowing what they want.
Yeah, like it's the thing about recruiting is it's any individual within sort of the process can be the bottleneck, right? Like a recruiter could be slow to move on stuff. The hiring manager might be slow to move on stuff. The candidate might be slow responding or submitting their resume or doing what they need to do or scheduling an interview. You know what I'm saying? So like really a recruiter is trying to sort of manage all that. Like how do we keep all this moving forward in the right direction versus, and I've had to learn that even now, as long as I've been recruiting, like you can't just, kind of submit something and hope things work out, hope that the candidate going to do what they need to do, hope that the hiring manager do what they need to do. Like you really have to kind of keep pressing on everybody to try to figure something out. So I can't say like recruiting hasn't gotten any easier, even with all the new technology. Like you still got to reach out to people directly and try to communicate as best as you can to try to get what you need from folks.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now let's switch gears to, you said you want to go in-house. What was the biggest, I guess, tech company that you worked for in-house?
Lyft. So Lyft was definitely like my, whatever. I mean, we in Dallas, so like if you're an NFL player and you trying to, get your name in something big time and you get to play for the Cowboys, like that's, for me, like Lyft was like my Dallas Cowboys, right? Like that's sort of the shining point on my resume. Although I've worked with a lot of great companies, like that one was like most notable when I joined them, they was actually like #1 startup on LinkedIn. So like I joined at a time when, you know, they had all this buzz recruiting. I ain't gonna say recruiting was a breeze, but like we didn't even have to source that much because so many people was applying to us. And so like we just spent most of our time in ATS, you know, trying to find the best people. We were well funded, like we was on our way to IPO. And so like if we did find the right person, comp wasn't an issue. Like they'll throw more bonus at them, more equity. And so when you got all those different sort of wheels turning in your favor, like that's when recruiting is fun. Like that was a time in my career where, you know, recruiting wasn't stressful. Like we was having fun as a team.
Yeah.
We was finding good people, you know.
I think everything was more lax then too. What year was this? I mean, what years?
I joined in 2018.
Okay.
And stayed through, I think I left in 23.
Yeah. So I think, but that period between probably like 2019, 2022 was probably like the more lax hiring thing that.
Everything before COVID. Like COVID was.
I'm saying even during COVID, you know, people was just getting hired to get hired.
It did. It was, so COVID had like some quick swings.
Exactly.
Like it like shut down in a day, then it turned on in a day, and just like we back at it. Cause like I remember probably like 2021 to be a recruiter, like he was popping. Like when I tell you my inbox was, I mean, at least like daily, I was getting hit up by like 3 or 4 like good tech companies saying like, hey, like we hiring, we building out our team, like come join us, come be a team lead, come do all this stuff. It was a good time to be in it because everybody was trying to like rebound from all the layoffs from COVID. And it was just like this resurgence of like capital and all these different tech companies and stuff like that. And they had laid everybody off. So they were trying to catch back up and hire everybody back. And at the sort of the goals and at the speed they wish they could hire people back just didn't balance with really a thorough interview process. And so that's why so many people was able to get into tech too, because like we really just had to do like pooled hiring, right? Like you just get as many candidates, qualify them, you know, run them through like the same process, and then like just kind of set a bar. And if anybody came in above that bar, like send them an offer. Like, and that's how quickly we was trying to hire. So it was a time. It was a time to get in.
Because you had the videos.
Easy come, easy go though. Yeah. That was the thing, because before that, we was flying everybody in before we extend offers. Like you had to do it in person. And so once COVID hit, it's like we're gonna do everything video. And so that made everything that much more faster. So yeah, I mean it was dope. It was dope while it lasted.
Yeah. Now you may not remember this, but I want to ask you, like, being an employee, what's like the worst either applicant, screening call, or whatever thing that you've had to deal with as a recruiter?
I think the worst is just kind of when you get on a call. One, it's actually can go 2 ways. Like you get on a call and then like the candidate's just kind of like an asshole, right? Like they just, and the situation you're in is, you know, this person's being an asshole because they know that they're qualified for the role. And so like you almost got to put up with the attitude because you do want to submit them, right? And so like you kind of have to play that game of, all right, like let me not be completely dismissive to your attitude or how you doing. Like let me try to bring things back to where like, no, we think you'll be a good fit, and let me try to sell you on the opportunity because you already know you don't need us. And so you have to go into the mode of really like trying to convince them like why it's worth their time to actually go through this process, because you can't oversell it too and just be like, you don't have to actually go through these steps of interviewing. And so like for me, like those are tough for me because I don't like dealing with them, and you know they're gonna be a headache throughout the entire process. Like that's what it comes down to. Even when they get an offer, they kind of stall on responding, or they go crazy with the counter, or they like literally it'd be people like trying to change company policy around like what works for them. And when you at a larger company, startups, it isn't that bad because you can still,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of make up whatever you want to do when you just starting out at a company. If your company is less than 30 people, what's the rule? Like people just kind of doing what they want to do anyway. But when you
Yeah.
get into those organizations that's like 1,000 plus, like we have policies, procedures, a handbook, and so when you start asking for stuff that goes against the handbook, it's like, come on, man, like you doing a lot right now. So those are kind of like the worst candidates to deal with. But honestly, I don't have like a horror story to where like, oh man, like that almost broke me. Like it just be like the consistent drip of candidates that kind of wear you down. And it's like, man, I don't want to deal with this again. Like type
Yeah.
of deal.
And what these like what, like software engineers or
The technical folks are definitely the more difficult to deal with.
I would agree.
I think, but the pendulum always swings, right? Like now, tech folks are a lot more humble because AI is able to do a lot of this tech stuff that at one point in time was like only they could do it, right? Like no one else was even out here trying to attempt to do what they could do, and so now like you or a recruiter would get hit up with a lot of people being a lot more humble around like, hey, like I'm looking for this, I'm open, I'm flexible, I can relocate. Like, I mean, they kind of laying it all out there. But yeah, just the sort of just the cost and the quality of tech skills, throughout the last, I would say like decade, just kind of ebbs and flows, right? And so it's good for a person to understand when they're kind of at that peak of what their value is to an organization, and so they're able to kind of make those demands.
Yeah. What do you think the distrust of recruiters comes from?
I mean, I think it's like any sales role. I'm the type of recruiter. I'm not as sort of empathetic as some recruiters are, which is fine. Like I think I've gone through a couple of different phases throughout my 15 years, right? Like it's been, I want to be best friends with every candidate, and I want to, get buddy and keep them informed. And then like there's been times where like, hey, we got these goals to hit as a company. I don't have time to be your best friend. Like I have to kind of crank these calls out. I got to let people know where they stand and kind of, who's one thing I've always learned in staffing is like work close to the money. So whatever candidate I feel like is going to be the likely hire, like those are the ones you kind of are going to always gravitate towards and make sure like, we got a texting type of situation going on because I need some quick feedback because I want to make sure that you locked in with me. But I think, like I say, like it's the distrust comes from one. It's almost like police officers, right? Like you don't like them until you need them, and then it's like, but I don't really, mess with y'all like that. But I'm trying to get into this company. Once I get into this company, I get the offer letter, like I'm good to go. And so, like, I think that's where the distrust comes from. It's like they don't interact with recruiters enough until they actively looking for a job, and then like they're kind of more tuned in to the different attitudes of recruiters and kind of how some recruiters can be assholes. Like I subcontract through some folks that have larger agencies than I have, and they just need some help from time to time. And some of them, I'm like, damn, calm down, man. Like literally, like I'll send a candidate over, and if that candidate don't look perfect on paper, or if I'm like, hey, I'm waiting on this, it's like, how long ago did you reach out to them? I was like, I emailed them this morning. Oh, they haven't responded in 5 hours. Not worth our time. Like it's like, damn, like that's
might be at work.
But yeah, but that's how they think because they just all about the sales. And like I said, if I've been in it 15 years and that guy he's been in it like 20 plus, like the longer you be in it, kind of like the more numb you get to this stuff, and it's like man, I ain't got time to play around. Like either you in or you out. And so I think that's kind of where job seekers, if they don't have a lot of interactions with recruiters and kind of understand like we have a job to do and our job is not just to be your best friend and get you placed, it's kind of like a turn off to them. And so they just start to think like, oh, recruiters ain't nothing. Like we scamming, and it's like, nah, it's not a scam, but it's from our side, from our perspective, it is a numbers game. Like it's just sort of as many applications they have to submit, like we on the other side having to talk to that many people, and we both burned out. Like you tired of applying, I'm tired of screening. And so like yeah, I think it's just sort of trying to get a mutual understanding that you just doing the job, and it's not anything personal. Like but yeah, people can take them rejection letters, to heart. It's like, damn, like you mad when I reject you. You mad if you don't hear from me. And it's just like, I don't know what else to tell you then. Like I can't just give you a job. So,
I just don't like being rejected on weekend nights. Like reject me during the week.
Well, what difference does it make though?
Don't reject me on a Sunday. I'm out like having fun with the family. Whatever. Wait till Monday.
But I do get that. I get that point. But that's from that's just like all emotion. Because for me, like sometimes I'm carving out time when I have it to go through and like clean out my applicant tracking system. But we do have the ability.
I'll just say carve
to
it out during the week.
But we do have the ability to schedule the rejection.
Schedule the rejection to hit somebody during the week on a Monday.
So sometimes I might get off a call with somebody and know I'm not gonna move them forward. I'll schedule the rejection to send out, next day or 2 days out to at least make it seem like we considered it for a little bit, whereas like it was really like an immediate no.
Right. Yeah, you definitely touching on some of them questions in the sense of what I showed you earlier. But before that, get into Infinite and kind of like why you started it, and I guess mission goals, all that fun stuff that they
all about the money, man. It's all it really is at the end of the day for me. Like I'm just trying to like my skill set is recruiting, and so I knew that whatever I did down the road in my career had to be, recruiting adjacent or something like that in some kind of way, shape, or form. The good thing about how I started out in staffing is like I was able to see sort of the earning potential of a company that grew, right? Like every staffing agency started out just like Infinite, like usually like just one person, like getting clients, making placements, and then like you grow, you get more placements, you get more rec orders, you have to hire more recruiters, and like that's kind of like how you grow into one of these big agencies. I don't necessarily have a goal to get huge like that, and if I do start to scale and grow at that rate, like I probably would sell it and then like go build a tech platform or something like that can automate a lot of this stuff. But I think I've always had the sort of the idea and the goal of starting my own thing. This was back probably like 2015, 2016. I wanted to do it, but I was like, I was a little nervous. I was like, nah, this could be like a quick crash out if I don't really have anything going, nor did I have like the bank account to support myself while I was trying to build. And so like I'm glad I did things the way I did, and I kind of waited because like I said, at that point I was working at that manufacturing company, and so I hadn't even gotten to Lyft yet. And so what I've been building since starting my own thing in 2023, honestly, just about all my clients have come through the networks I made while I was at Lyft. And so if I hadn't went to Lyft, like I don't know, I would have made something shake, but I don't feel like I would have had as many opportunities that I've had now, just because, some of my current clients are the people I placed when I was at Lyft that they've left. And so now like they're in more leadership, high level executive leadership roles, and or they've started something on their own and they need to do some hiring. And so I've always had the idea. And then what really was kind of like the, what lit an additional fire under that was like when COVID hit. When I was at Lyft, we went through like 3 rounds of layoffs, and I left like maybe a month or 2 before they did a 4th round. And I was like, let me go exit because I see where this headed. And so I think when I saw, for me, and I think everybody took COVID differently. You had those different categories of individuals who were just kind of like, that expected when things like that happened that there was going to be like the support system to kind of come in and save the day. And for me, it just was like, whew, like, hey man, you got to have your own back out here. Like you got to figure things out fast. And so when that hit, I really started to sort of put things together. Like, okay, like I know I need to find a way to earn income on my own. Like how do I make money without being on W-2? without, someone extending a full, permanent offer to me. And so when I kind of started to research a little bit and started to understand what are the things out there that I could do, I just kind of started piecing some things together. Started me a little side hustle supporting, like I did some recruiting for a nonprofit. While I was still with Lyft, I did some recruiting for a construction company. And so that just kind of showed me like, okay, like I can make money. Like I kind of had two separate systems, so it wasn't no conflict of interest. Like, and I was literally like working off one laptop during the day and working off a different laptop at night, like sourcing and screening candidates and stuff like that. And so once I saw it's possible, I was like, okay, like if I can scale this, if I can ramp this up, or if I can just get some more valuable placements, right? Because recruiting for nonprofits and construction companies don't compare to recruiting for a tech startup. And so I knew like I could make 4 or 5 times as much if I got the right clients. And so I left Lyft. I went to another startup. I still stayed in-house. Thinking back, I should have just negotiated a contract with them because I only stayed there for like 6 months. But I knew I could operate a little differently at that startup. I knew it wouldn't be as much eyes on me like it would be at Lyft.
You're trying to bring the talent in.
Right. And
they
so
don't care about the money. They already funded.
Right. And then so what happened was that kind of gave me more of the validity as well, right? Because I held a couple of different types of positions from recruiter up into like a senior manager at Lyft, but I had never had like that head of talent, that true
title and stuff.
Right. And so moving to that startup, I think the title was like VP of talent or like head of talent. And so like that gave me like that last infinity stone that I needed. I was okay, now I can kind of round this out, package this up, and start pitching myself as like the startup recruiter, because I have built a recruiting process with the startup. I have the big tech experience. And so like I've been able to make all these placements across all these different functions. And so I kind of took that and kind of ran with it as sort of like my proposal to startups that I do now.
Interesting. I was just thinking, dang it, I lost it. It was about what you was talking about with the recruiting stuff, but it was like it was something you just said, and I was like, dang, I'm finna ask him that, and I lost it as I started talking.
He'll come back.
Yeah. We'll get into this simply, like, I guess when you say money, well, like, generally speaking, on average, what does like a staffing recruiter make versus like an in-house recruiter, maybe at like a bigger tech company, and then, doing more, pretty much you're doing business to business.
Yeah. Like my Infinite, I can't lie to you. Like I'll send a contract with a proposal however I feel like it'll make sense for that company, right? Like, it might be a retainer, it might be contingent, it might be a 10% fee, it might be a 15% fee. It might be, upfront kickoff fee plus this on the back end. It kind of, I try to assess each client and figure out, one, how much budget I think they have to kind of put in recruiting efforts, and then two, what's sort of going to differentiate me from, another agency or another recruiter that might be, pitching the same type of services. And so, as long as I feel like this company can make good on the contract terms and I'm going to get some money out of it, then we'll figure it out. But when it comes to compensation, man, it depends on the company and how much they value their recruiting team. But I think people underestimate how much money, a good recruiter can make. Like I see tech recruiters that easily making like $300K salary. I mean, that's doctor lawyer money. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think people really understand. Like, and to make that kind of money and you just on LinkedIn kind of having conversations with people all day, like to me, like that's crazy. But I've always known the value of this work because I've seen the contracts that companies have executed with agencies to be like, we're gonna pay you $200,000 to make these 3 placements and something like that. And then me as an in-house recruiter seeing it, I was like, damn. It's like they not doing nothing different than what I'm doing. And so that's what's always been stuck in my head. It's like if I can just, you know, build up the courage to jump out there on my own. Like I can be the one sending these contracts saying like, I'm gonna find you this person and you're gonna pay me this amount, and they'll pay it because I'm sitting here watching them do it. Or better yet, I'll say I'll do it for $10,000 less. And right, like I don't have this big company, so I don't have all that overhead. So shoot, like I'm still gonna come off, coming up off of it. So that's kind of always been my mindset, and that's the practice that I still have now. It's just like, like a company that'll charge you, a 25% fee. I can charge you a 15% fee, and that 15%, is gonna hit me, much better and be a lot more beneficial than a company doing 25%. They got to split that across, a team, AEs, office space, and benefits and pay. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. It's like I put all that in my pocket. Yeah, like I can take that.
What about? So, do you plan on getting any staff this year?
I don't know, man. I actually had a somebody that worked under me for contract probably like 8 months for last year. And it was dope. So basically my client was saying like, hey, we need to ramp up. Like how much more can you take on? And really I've always tried I gotta leave myself a little bit of buffer. So usually the most hours I build for a client is like maybe like 30 hours a week. Because if I ever try to make that agreement that I'm gonna work for you for 40 hours, like that's a full-time job. So I need to be able to make sure that the expectation is like I'm still a consultant. Like once I do a 40-hour contract, like they're gonna think I work for them and I should be on for them, all times of the day. Like I need to be able, because at any point in time, if they reach out to me, if they Slack me, or they email, and it take me a little time to respond, I'm like, yeah, like I work for you from these hours to these hours today. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I need to be able to kind of build in sort of that sort of back door where I can always go do my own thing and they know that I have other things going on. But I think I made like maybe I was making like maybe an extra $2K, $2,500 a month off the contract I had. So I'm paying him out of my payroll and then I'm billing the client. But I can't lie. Like if I do that again, I need to set up my money a little bit different. Just being honest, like that was my first go at it, and so like I'm paying him every 2 weeks like clockwork, whereas like I'm getting paid from the client. They have like a
every
net
90 days.
Right? They have a net 30, and so like I'm burning through cash, like paying him, waiting on my return. And I was like, whoo, yeah. So I was like, damn, boy. I was like, it's time to pay you again. Like,
hold on now, I'm gonna get it to you.
It's like, dang. Well, I mean, it started out with, and then I had to understand, he got a family, and so like, cause I started out, I was like, hey, like let's just see how this works. And I think I started out like maybe like 20, 25 hours a week with him. And then like he was pushing me every week, like, hey man, I really need to get to 40. I really need to get to 40. Cause he's always had like a full-time job. And so like he was thankful that I found him and he was getting some income, but like I say, he had a whole family to support. So I understood. Yeah. So I went to the client basically being like, hey, like I'm gonna work 25 hours a week max. My guy wants to up his to 40. Is y'all cool with that? And then they signed off on it. And so like, I'm paying him, a 80K. I mean, not 80K, but like a 80-hour week paycheck out of my bank account. And then got to get mine on the back end from them. And so like, it just showed me how to manage my money better. And I was like, yeah, like I kind of jumped into this thing. I knew it was going to be, like a stress test, but like, you don't really know until like you get in it. And so like, I was able to kind of like, once I was doing it for about 3 months, like I started kind of being able to, when I did get paid from the client, like set that money aside because I know this needs to be like my payroll fund for him. But, they converted him to a full-time employee. So we've kind of switched gears, which is why I love what I do. Like you get to be so flexible. Right. So he's the talent manager now at the startup. And I kind of support him more from a sourcing standpoint. So like I'm still getting my money with less responsibility because I don't have to do all the reporting. I don't have to like have the meetings with the founders and kind of all that kind of stuff. And so I've been able to kind of take a step back. My rate hasn't changed, so I'm still billing them, my normal rate. But now I get to go out and kind of find other opportunities like that to kind of help them build up again. So it's kind of like a rinse and repeat type of business model.
Yeah.
So it's really not designed to last forever. I've actually been with that client for like 2 years now, and so this year my plan is like, all right, like how do I find a new client that I can run up my rate on? Because now I have 2 years that I've done this, that I've scaled recruiting at another startup. Like, let me do that for you, and then this time, throw a little bit more on there.
Dope, man. So one of the things I've seen that you put on your page before is you're talking about, oh yeah, we know they use AI right here. How are y'all determining who used AI?
I mean, the biggest indicator is them dashes.
Yep.
so if them dashes all throughout, then yeah, like we know they use that. I for one though, like I don't care. Like I think we should be using AI to make our life easier and simpler. The thing is, like, are you using the AI to better position yourself in a way that's truthful, right? Like if you're using AI to just tell straight out lies, it's like why is that beneficial to anyone? You're gonna end up making yourself look stupid. Like it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, like if this resume looks great, which is why I could care less about a resume. Like I'm all about that LinkedIn. Like give me that LinkedIn. Like I feel like that LinkedIn is a better representation, right? Like it's almost like checking somebody's Instagram. Like if the Instagram look a little weird, then I'm gonna have my doubts about how you actually operate in real life. And so I need your LinkedIn to be a good representation of how I feel like you come across as like a career professional, right? Like you should have some comments, like you should have some updates. Like I should be able to kind of follow your career journey. I should see what search you done got. Like I feel like going to LinkedIn is me being able to really tap into who you are as a professional. And so when I meet people who are just like anti LinkedIn and I'm not putting my information on it, it's like you really only hurting yourself. Like you're not fighting the system or the man or whatever because you're refusing to update your LinkedIn. Like you're just making yourself less visible to people who may be really out here looking for somebody like you, but we'll never find you if you don't have some sort of like internet presence. And so, like, if you want to hide out and keep your head down, that's going to make it a lot harder for you to get those opportunities that I know you're going to be looking for at some point in time. And that's what a lot of people get stuck at. Is like, I got a job, I'm good. I've always had a job. I know what I'm doing. The layoffs come out of left field, knock you on your ass, and now you don't know what to do. Like now you literally have no sort of strategy about how to even begin to look for a new job. And you just kind of start shooting your raggedy resume into all these applicant tracking systems, wondering why, it's not going nowhere, why I'm not hearing back. When I hear people talking about they done applied to like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, I'm like, that's your process is broken. I'm not saying that it may not take, a considerate amount of applications to see a good return. But if you're submitting that many applications and you're not getting at least, 10 to 15% interviews off that to where like, okay, like I
might even settle for 5 for some people, 5%.
Depending on what your skill set is. Yeah. Like if you, and it's all about the market, right? Like if the skill set you have is in high demand, then you'll see an uptick in callbacks and things like that. Whereas like if you kind of like middle of the road, like you say 5% is something that you should take a little bit of pride in, because at least you getting eyes on it. People like what you got going on as far as like on paper. But again, like that's just the first step. So if AI did all your resume and you can't speak to what AI said you can do, like I said, you just kind of starting to look a little.
Mentioning it right there.
Yeah, you looking a little foolish, and then you wondering why you getting ghosted. It's like you face planted. Like it literally, like it was like, damn, like, and recruiters can usually tell like in that first 5 to 10 minutes, like, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't the one. And we kind of just give you grace for another 10 or 15 minutes because, you done took the time, you done, stepped away from your job or whatever, and you done kind of put on a clean shirt and all, like, so I don't want to just completely dismiss you.
Clean shirt.
Oh man, like, cause I get it, man. When you actively looking, like it's a little bit mentally taxing, right? Like you kind of you wake up every day hoping the day is the day.
No, listen, I got laid off in 2018. I was like, I would get emails and stuff like that, but by the time it would hit whatever time, I was like, I bet, man, I'm ready for the day, the new day. Because I'm like, am I getting rejected on whatever interview went on? Like, who hit me up today? Like, so now I definitely feel you. And then that's when I normally say, if you that unsuccessful in your job search, your resume trash.
It's either your resume trash, you're not positioning yourself, and then you're not taking into account how challenging and sort of like how much more difficult it is to be a job seeker today, which is something I think people should just embrace. Like, listen, you can run from it, and I hate when I talk to somebody and they talk about how they used to get interviews and how things used to be. It's like, if it's not like that no more, like, you really only hurting yourself by being stuck in a time where you felt like you was at your peak, right? You really sound like somebody who washed up, talking about how, like, back in the day you used to be able to get it in and all that kind of stuff. And
hey, you ever seen the TikToks? Like, man, I used to be a hell of an athlete.
Right. That's how you sound. It's like, man, but I used to never have to look for a job. People used to come get, okay, well, you need to assess where you are today and kind of figure out, like, how do you increase your valuable visibility today? Because right now, clearly it's not coming across.
So look, funny enough, I'm one of the main podcasters that have receipts. My LinkedIn, I really could like do straight content just from what people send me on LinkedIn, like for real.
Like reaching out to you about like job opportunities?
So one young lady, she was talking about her struggles of like getting interviews and everything. But like I said, whenever people say they struggle to get interviews, I already know what it is. And it don't matter what you click on. You can click on any one of them. Now they use AI to make it. And I always tell people, if you don't know what a good resume look like, using AI ain't gonna help you that much because you don't know how to prompt.
I need to start sending more voice notes on LinkedIn. My issue is most of my communications with people on LinkedIn are
Did it download for you?
You're talking about your resume?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you.
So most of my communications on LinkedIn Recruiter, they don't have that voice feature.
Oh, okay.
They need to.
But like they just threw it in there, bro. Like, well, you got
So
no.
this is her resume?
Yeah, they had no projects. You had some hot buzzwords in there, but they weren't being used in the work descriptions.
The first thing I point out on this, and I tell people that whenever your summary is in paragraph format, big skip. Like, I ain't about to read that. Like because we usually are scanning profiles. And so it needs to be in bullet format because that bullets are by design.
I used to have
like
I used to have like a career highlight section.
You should.
So I used to have like 5 bullets or 6 that I didn't have that was like in the job description.
I have a template. Yeah, this just isn't well formatted at all. Honestly, at this point, like I have a consulting resume that I've created now, just because sometimes I might reach out to somebody and they just ask for a resume, but I was like, I don't really have like a resume no more, right? Like my work is just structured a little bit different, but at the same time, I understand people want to see something on paper. So if it's an opportunity to get some money, I'm gonna give you something. But my whole front page is almost just like a bulleted summary. And I don't know why people don't think that that's appropriate, but your resume isn't necessarily about, don't get me wrong, it needs to be formatted. It needs to look like you know how to put together a document, but it's more about the content. And so if those first 3, 4, 5 bullets are like, you literally hit me with your best work, right? Like, boom, I got 10 plus years in this. Boom, I done completed this. Boom, I done saved the company this. Boom, I done implemented this. Like, okay, like you get my attention the more I go down. But when it starts with, I'm a eager professional, with a strong mindset, getting along well with others. It's like, yo, what? Like,
yeah, a lot of stuff don't make sense. And then when people use AI, their resumes tend to look like a job description. So It's like the job description typically say what you may do on a day-to-day. I want to know what you did that's different from the job description. Like you said, those bullet points.
and you should at least be able to, at this point, understand how to leverage AI in order to say, hey, I need to format my resume based on this job description, and prompt whatever you use in Claude, ChatGPT, or whoever to be like, ask me the appropriate questions so that you have the detailed information to enter into my resume based on this job description. And so, like, if you do it that way, it's going to read that, okay, like this person is responsible for X, Y, Z. And it's going to ask you, very specifically, what are the examples of X, Y, Z? And then it can structure it into a bullet that's a lot more impactful.
Yep.
Versus, you just basically, because that's honestly how people used to do resumes. Like, they'll take whatever job description they got hired against and just drop that onto their resume to be like, I do this, I do this, I do
Guilty.
this. I mean, because it seems like the easiest way to go about doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, even to this day, most people would struggle with telling you what they do on a day-to-day basis, right? Like, we just kind of like in autopilot. Like, we log on and we just get to work. But if someone was to ask you, like, what do you actually do? It's like, like you kind of can't really like contextualize what is it do I really do? And so that's why I try to tell people, like, you should have a thorough understanding of not only what you do, but why does the business need you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you actually contributing on a day-to-day basis, or weekly or monthly or quarterly? Like, sometimes you kind of need to start at a high level and then kind of drill down into what it is that you actually
That goes
doing.
into other things too. When I'm doing resumes, I'm like, all right, hey, send me all your accomplishments, things you did. A lot of times people don't have any.
They don't even think about it. They literally don't even think about it. And yeah, if just think about, like, if you going through an entire year of working for a company, you should be able to look back on that year and be like, like, what did I really do here? I don't care what your role is. Like, if they paying you to do a job, I don't care if you the trash man. You should be able to be like, shit, like, I disposed the trash of millions of homes.
I'll be like, perfect
in the zip code.
perfect attendance, the cleanest truck, something.
Right. Like, trash man of the year because, I optimized my route efficiency, like something. Like, you kind of got to be able to understand, like, all right, clearly I'm doing something right. Like, I'm still here. Especially when it comes like performance review time, like, you should honestly be leading your performance review, and that's something that comes with time and kind of confidence. But it got to a point, like, I used to start to challenge my manager, like, if they try to say, I've never gotten like a less than meets. But I'm gonna bring receipts and be like, nah, actually, I think I exceeded, because
it's hard for them to get that exceeded.
right? Because it's like, if this is meets and I did this, and this, you can't tell me. It's kind of hard for you to kind of grade me at a B when I know I done came with A working. But you got to be able to bring those receipts, and you got to be able to get to a point to where you can kind of brag on yourself and talk about your accomplishments throughout the year, because they not thinking about you. They really not thinking about you in that way up until it's time to do the performance review. Everybody's performance reviews, they usually wait to the last minute. They usually up late or wake up early in the morning, like, trying to submit it by the deadline. And then they'll usually give you an extension, all that kind of stuff. But that just all goes to show me, like, no one is sort of prioritizing talking about honoring. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't why I come to work. Like, it ain't to lift you up on a pedestal. And so you got to lift yourself up and be able to tell people, like, okay, this is why I'm killing it. That helps them out. And they usually not going to push back on you. Like, shit, if you done did the work for me, I'm just going to sign off on it. Like, yeah, you exceeded. So
You got to hit that TO. I love me some me.
right. You got to.
Now, if you don't, all right, so here's this is some finesse game. If you didn't do nothing, go see the people who did do something, write it down, learn about what they did, inquire about it, and now that's something that you did if you could talk to it on the interview, they might believe you.
Oh yeah, like, there have been times in interviews they might ask me about an accomplishment or a challenge or something like that. Like, half of it might have been true. And then, like, the back half of it might have been what would have happened. Like, like, if they asked me about a time that I, improved the process or something like that, like, I literally might tell them about, I might be in the middle of this implementation or in this improvement, but I'm gonna give them my expected result, like what I know or what I believe that what's gonna come out on the other side of this. But one of the worst things you can do, and I was actually talking to one of my clients yesterday, the reason she failed to pass this lady through is because she asked her a question, and the lady was just like, I don't know, and didn't give any sort of resolution as to like, I don't know, or this is what I've done that's comparable, or this is how I would go about doing that.
What was the question?
It was more so it was a director of sales position, and so she was asking her about like, does she have like a network that she can kind of come in and leverage to start to pitch the product to, and the lady, the founder, my client, like has very specific clients that she wants to try to pitch her product to. And so she has been asking candidates, like, do you have connections with these clients in these networks? And so she asked them, like,
say yeah.
I don't think she should have said yeah, because the lady was going to drill down even further, and she was going to hit a wall at some point. But the expectation from her was like, no, I don't have direct connections with these people, but I do know these people. These people know these people, and so I feel very strongly if I'm able to like make connections with these individuals, then I can get introduced or connected to these individuals. She could have said something like, no, I don't have direct connections with them, but I know these folks always go to these big conferences. I frequent these conferences. I can prioritize getting meetings in person with these individuals. Like, there are ways I felt like, and honestly, it wasn't necessarily a gotcha question. Of course, like, it would have been great if the lady would have been able to say like, yes, I do have connections, but it was more so like, how do you think? Like, how are you going to, if I'm telling you this is what the role entails, that I want you to get my product in, with these individual companies, I want you to go ahead and start thinking through how you're going to do that, right? Like, how have you built your previous connections, right? Like, she could have easily pivoted into like, no, I don't know those individuals, but the people I'm working most closely with now, I didn't know them up until 6 months ago, and this is how I went about building those relationships. And so you can't just say no, or I don't have that experience, or I don't know the answer, and then not offer some sort of solution, or at least know how to ask questions in order to keep it going. Like, so like,
because at work, a lot of times it's something new that's presented us that we don't know how to do.
That's what work is. Work is just consistently solving problems. Like, if you're not doing that, then you honestly should start to get a little bit concerned, because if the problems you're getting paid to solve are no longer problems for that organization, then you start to look at it like, well, we don't really need this person anymore. Like, we've kind of solved that. Or they've started to automate whatever it was that you was doing. And so that's something that people need to be mindful of, especially in the world of layoffs. Like, if you're not still actively solving problems for the company, you probably gonna be on that list, because you're not critical. Like, if you're just kind of treading water at this point. Like, you're just kind of
doing enough not to get fired.
Right. Like, you maintaining the status quo. Like, you might be helping out one person in some way, shape, or form, but if you're not on that list of people that like, okay, like, who are our company pillars, right? Like, who do we need to actually keep our company going and running and kind of keep the lights on, versus these people that, you know what, we really don't need that team no more. Once you find yourself in that boat, you need to either switch teams, create a problem, and sell yourself as a solution, or you need to kind of start looking externally.
You remember in them shows, I was watching Top Boy, and so the problem was he created a problem for one of the distributors, and he was able to solve it by usurping him, getting to his distro, and then getting the guy out of jail. He put him in jail. So it's like, it's funny. It's just funny how like what people do and how you can learn different things.
Oh, that's the way I used to. I kind of took a step out of the corporate world, one, because I wanted to kind of build my own thing, but I was pretty good at the corporate politics game. Like, I was
Yeah.
I used to feel like
I know you came in there with your white button down Oxford with some chinos and brown shoes.
that used to be my part of my strategy. Like I was every office environment I ever been in, I was always voted like best dressed. Like it was just like because I'm a big black dude, so like
Yeah.
you know what is something I can do
The
that's
easy.
kind of gonna make me stand apart and like coming in. I'm a recruiter walking in a full suit. It's like who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? Like they literally people used to like, what do you do here? I'm like, oh, I'm on the recruiting team. They thought I was some exec. Like, nah, I can dress nice. Like I don't have to, come in with a t-shirt on just because I'm on the recruiting team.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Between that and between being well dressed, coming into office, and being married, that's like probably a triple threat right there of like moving up in corporate.
Yeah, you gotta, and that's sometimes what it's all about. Is really building just the perception of like I'm a high performer or like I'm playing ball. To your point, like yeah, like if you're going to be perceived almost like in politics, right? Like what does somebody do when they want to get into politics? Like I need to be married, I need to have a family. Like
I need a good image,
right? Don't too many people want to vote for somebody who's like, oh, you gotta run around wild, like you, because they think that if you have a family, that's gonna rein you in. Like you got to make good decisions. Like,
yeah, you're gonna like you was talking about the guy earlier with the family and stuff. You have to pay and all that other stuff.
right?
It's like, hey, this
It's
person,
control. It's control. Like it's like
they gonna do their job.
they're gonna do their job. They're not gonna do nothing crazy. Just think like if you're a bachelor and you getting paid a good bit of money, like you a ticking time bomb. You know what I'm saying? Like one
I think about that stuff all the time.
One wrong
like,
thing piss you off. It's like, man, I don't need this. Like I got enough money for the rest of the year. Like versus you got a wife and 2 kids. Like you just ain't gonna up and quit your job on a whim.
Because I'm like, look, I could thug it out. I was like, I thought about plenty of times. I said, hey, I was like, stuff hit the fan. Shoot, I got a membership at Anytime Fitness. Work out there, shower, put a blow up here right there. I could thug it out if I had to.
But that's
kids and them not so much.
Literally though, that's how a man will think. Like a man, like, nah, I'm gonna figure it out. You'll never know I'm down. Like as long as I keep a couple of nice outfits, like you say, and I got somewhere to bathe, like I'm gonna keep interviewing. I'm as long as
Get you a small storage unit, get your stuff dry clean, put it in there.
I can go to the coffee shop and get Wi-Fi. Like I mean, most guys have, whether it was just for fun or not, have thought about like, yeah, if it all crumbles, like how am I going to build myself?
I wonder what women
up?
think about that. I know this ain't to be sexist, but like I always think about like if the worst is worst, what would I do? I know what I would do.
Well, women got other options though. If a woman can be pretty, like you can find somebody to take care of you. Like men, that's not an option. Like we know we're not going to be cared for.
That's the whole thing. I forgot I was having that argument with my girl one time, but we was talking about that. I was telling her the difference between raising girls and boys, of like how like me, like she probably feel like I'd be like real tough on my younger brothers, but I'm like, ain't nobody finna come save them.
No.
I was like, they gotta like it don't handsome privilege probably get you laid, but it don't really get you paid. Like it don't take you as far as pretty privilege do.
You might find yourself be able to, get off the street for a couple of nights. Like if a girl like you a little bit, but that's only gonna go.
You
so
may
far.
be able to find you a rich woman whose husband travels frequently or whatever, but for the most part,
now, that's crazy.
That's not. But that's not. Because you see all type of stuff. You are retail, all these other type of jobs. You see all type of stuff, but that ain't gonna take you far, especially in those careers. It's only gonna it got a shelf life.
Right. Like that's only. Whereas women are usually. That's why I mean, if a woman has like a successful career and all that kind of stuff, like and they look good, like I've posted that before. Like if you pretty, you smart, and you kind of got like street smarts, like that's a cheat code, like for real, because you operating, from every angle at that point. Whereas it's a lot of women are raised to be a princess, right? Like and so like that's why I honestly like I've never been the type of guy like like she think she should get the world just because she's pretty. Like I think that was her strategy. Like I think that was like that was her goal from the beginning, is to try to attract the rich guy and kind of be taken care of. And so like if that's your strategy, I can't get mad at that. But if you don't have those sort of assets and characteristics, then yeah, you better get smart. You better figure something else out.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna get to like 2 of these questions.
All right,
because I know pretty much approaching time, and my stuff is actually downstairs, so I gotta go get. But I think one of the best ones I think that would be useful for people because we touched on this like years ago, but I figured it'll come up in these questions is how do you actually pull candidates in ATS? Are there defined tiers like strong match versus good match? And in practice, do recruiters usually prioritize the strong match tier even if someone in the lower tier may be equally qualified? I really don't know how to answer the second part of that because it says,
Yeah, that's not equal.
yeah, like how would you be in the lower tier but you're equally qualified? I don't know.
Yeah, if the way I interpret that question is like if I have a strong match and then someone isn't a strong match, do I consider them to be equal? Like no, like if they wasn't a strong match. But I get the premise of the entire question. So again, I always go back to value, right? And so I think it's important to understand one, what's your individual value as it stands in today's market, and then you can also drill down into like what do you feel like the value of that skill set is at the company that you're applying to, right? So just a short sort of a short way to kind of explain what I mean is you could be, let's say you're an accountant. You could be an accountant applying to a company that has a team of 50 accountants because they have that much revenue and that much work to do. Or you could be applying to a company where you will be the accountant, sort of responsible for setting up the entire accounting function. So those two individuals, like you might be a strong match for that 50 accountant company, but you may be a weak match for the one that's like, no, like you're going to be responsible for, all of our accounting functions at the entire organization. And so it's kind of hard to answer that person's question because like my strong fit is going to be based on the individual needs for this particular role. So your strong fit for me might be, meets, just a
Minimum
good fit,
qualifications.
right? At another application. So you can't compare every application sort of apples to apples because you have to understand like what it is that they're actually looking for. But I mean, the best way to go through an applicant tracking system, like if I'm usually not going to look at no more than like 50 at a time in a session because after that, like your eyes start to cross, everything kind of starts to look the same. And so usually recruiters are going to try to keep it like under that 50 flipping through to kind of see who's a good match. But a lot of applicant tracking systems now do have AI built into them. Because I remember, I think the last time I talked to you, I was like, "There's no such thing as beating the system. That's wrong now. Like you do have to kind of be a lot more strategic because now I can go in there and either ask AI to filter by certain keywords or certain experience, or the newer ones. If you paying for all the bells and whistles, I can come in, log on, and it tells me, hey, here's the top 10 applicants, that came in. I can put in filters, right? Like show me the best fits that have applied within, the last 3 days. And it may give me 25. And so like, I'm only going to look at those 25. And so that's how, recruiting has changed just from like a technology standpoint to whereas I used to have to flip through everyone. Whereas now like I can start by filtering out the people that I feel like aren't a good fit. And I can only focus on the people that are at least matching those buzzwords on their resume. And from there, I start to understand, who's made more impact, who has been able to clearly sort of articulate on their resume how they're a strong fit versus the people who, as we mentioned earlier, kind of submitted a resume that's just based off of a job description. It was just kind of telling me what their scope is and kind of what they do at a high level versus telling me what they've done to actually drive some sort of impact.
No, that's facts. I think, and one good conversation that I want to have on live one day because eventually, outside of this, I'm gonna like go like back to like some type of panel style where it's just be like a free fall, whatever, with different topics. Is a friend of mine. We were talking about how years of experience really should not be the barometer anymore, because some people at one time, those years of experience they had, they were competent, but you may find a guy. Maybe this is kind of what that person's talking about. You may find a person they don't have the 5 years, but they got 2. But if you was to put them head to head with this person, let them compete or figure whatever out, the 2-year experienced person would be better. And so I think a lot of people are getting discounted now because they just don't meet the maximum or with minimum qualifications, but they may be a better fit because they still are in that stage where they are hungry and getting better. Whereas a lot of people I know from like when I started working with them now, like, yeah, your better days probably past and you kind of just existing now. So yeah, you might have been doing it for 20 years, but your experience right now is showing about 3 to 4.
No, that's actually a great point, and I agree. I'm aligned. I think that's a hard sell, just because we do sort of. I think just on a very simple level of the way people think, right? Like if someone just got their license and someone been driving for 10 years, who you gonna think is a better driver?
The one that's been driving longer.
Right. And I think that's just the way, even now, especially, let's just call them companies. That's the way companies think,
Yeah.
right? Like if we're looking for like, I'm working on some roles now, and the leader is just sold on the fact like, yeah, this person needs to have at least 10 to 15 years of experience in order to qualify. If I find someone, let's say someone has 7, those 7 are very strong, like I'm going to have to take the extra step, right? Like I'm going to have to talk to that person and really drill in on what they've done and be able to, finesse it in a way to be like, hey, like I know this person is potentially 8 years shy of what you were looking for, but
They've done everything is on
right.
there.
They came in the game strong, right? Like they work for top companies. They may have, a specialty degree or something like that. So I'm going to have to like really, put a lot of icing on that cake in order for them to even start to think that this person meets the qualifications. And so it's tough. My advice to someone like that is like, I hate to say it, but you have to find the company that is going to be a little bit more open-minded, right? Like I think candidates, job seekers, people in general spend too much time trying to force their way into situations that don't want them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just sort of like you can't sit there and try to make that case for like, yeah, like I know I only have 7 years of experience and the job description says 10 to 15. Like you might just need to keep looking, right? Submit your resume, but like don't
harp
try
on
to,
that.
right? Like don't try to beat that drum so hard to be like, I know I can do it. I know, like you might not even get looked at, right? Whereas it's another company out there that they may not have a years of experience, right? Like, and there are especially startups. Sometimes startups will create a job description that say, we don't care what kind of education you got. We don't care how many years you've been doing this. Like we're looking for the right person. Like we're looking for somebody who can come in and solve these big problems. And so that's the job for you. Like that's how you actually build your career, by finding those companies that are, well aligned with what it is that you feel like, you embody, that you feel like you can punch above your weight, versus going to these traditional companies that just have it very clearly laid out. Hey, this is what qualification means to us, right?
Yeah.
Like you go do something else and then circle back if you want to go to the company.
I think
so
it's
bad.
that. I think the frustration sometimes is like I've had times where like I knew like I pretty much was a strong match, but the person might have had just recent leadership experience or whatever. But sometimes they probably wasn't even leading good or leading at a good team. Like sometimes I think a lot of companies don't take enough chances on probably like somebody that may not be the desired fit, and I think they mess up like that because in the past day I had like two or three companies that's reached out that started hiring processes that I talked to them like last year. I'm like, oh, y'all messed up and y'all didn't know who y'all hired. Well, one instance I was working with a recruiter that was like a firm, and the client, they were dragging their feet on it and they ended up putting the role on hold and then got I guess an internal referral. I'm like, y'all already knew y'all didn't have the talent internally, or y'all would have never hired these people to look for y'all. Why did you even waste people's time like that, to the point that they actually are looking again for that same role? And then the same thing happened for this other role. I'm just like, are y'all just putting stuff on hold? Y'all run out of budget. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Because the other red flag to me is years ago, Ernst & Young's had the same role over and over again open. Like I interviewed for it back in like 2019 or something like that. And I didn't get it. But I would always see the roles keep on being posted. I'm like, yeah, that's a revolving door and they don't know what they want.
What was it, a role that's because sometimes we have positions that we'll post like an evergreen position. And so essentially it's something that we know we're always going to be looking for. And so it's just a matter of like really just building a pipeline of people so that, you know, if we get resignations or if we need to like terminate someone, like we don't have to start from scratch
Yeah,
with that search.
I don't think it was. I think at that time, I think they program wasn't that good.
I mean, that very well could be. I mean, it's a lot to
Because a
go.
lot of companies, they go off the allure of their namesake versus trying to get actually like make stuff right. So it's like, no, they pretty decent. They should have been more far along. But like at the time when I got like Goldman Sachs, like they, you know that people want to work for them. So they were still behind on some stuff that they should already had done. But I mean, all in all, it's not like they had no major breaches or anything like that. There are other companies that did that shouldn't have. It's like you make all this money, pay a little bit more, so you ain't got to shell out this, $100 billion or whatever you did for this breach. Like Change Healthcare had to do, I think, that billion or something that they lost with the breach. But it's almost like y'all just know that y'all got a monopoly and legacy, and people know you've been here for so long. That's why y'all can operate this way.
Yeah, I mean that's probably gonna, even now, like I don't know, like I haven't looked at them in a while, but so stuff like that only lasts for so long, right? Just like when I told you I started working at Lyft, recruiting was, like I said, it wasn't a breeze, but we didn't have to work hard. Like it was kind of like a course. Like all we got to do is post and find the sharpest needle in a stack of needles. And so post COVID, when nobody wanted to take ride share and all that kind of stuff, like it got a lot harder, right?
Yeah.
People was like, why would I go to Lyft? Like y'all lost 75% of y'all business or whatever. And so recruiting got a lot tougher. Like we had to really convince people of what was our recovery plan and why are we hiring when things are on a downturn or whatever the case may be. And so no one, in my experience, no one has really figured out hiring yet. And like I say, it goes back to people are so fickle that it's just
Should it be more assessment based, maybe?
You would think so, but you got to think about how many weirdos can complete can do well on the assessment, right? Like I literally had a situation about a couple of months ago where it was a graphic designer, and this dude, his work was sharp. Like the team loved what he could do, but he was going to be an issue. And I knew he was going to be an issue by the way we communicated, just in trying to set up the interviews and stuff like that. Like he was just like a lot. And that's what it comes down to, whereas like sometimes people don't understand. Someone can believe that you can do a good job and still not hire you because it's like, I don't want to put up with that. Like it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And did he check off like, did they have like mental problems maybe?
I don't think he had mental. I mean, it was just one of those things where, and I know recruiters have a very unique perspective because we do talk to so many people. Just think about the people that you've worked with that come across like a little weird, right? Like they made it through despite of. So if we end up like not hiring someone because of behavior, and it's not always weird. Like sometimes it's, like I said, an asshole. Like sometimes it's just kind of, the person just doesn't seem to be coming across as very truthful. Like it's just like the more you do this job, the more you can pick up on little things like, like let me double down on this real quick because I'm getting, it's almost like your spidey sense start tingling a little bit. Like I don't like the way this is operating, and then like sometimes that person gets through for whatever reason, whether they were able to convince the right person that they're going to be a good fit. And then I'm usually never surprised when I either hear from HR or and I'm not talking about officially, like sometimes it's just because I know the HR people and, we may just be chit chatting or gossiping and they be like, yeah, so-and-so, this going on, or, working on this investigation. And they were like, I can't tell you who it is or something like that. And I'm like, I already know. It's just like, I know. Like, it's just, I'm not surprised. And then I remember at one point I worked in an office where literally I had sort of eyesight of like the glass room that they took people in when they laid them off. I was like, every time somebody go in there, I'm like,
Remind me of Insecure when that girl to go in there. Real quick before we wrap up, and I meant to ask you about this earlier, but why are applicants leaning on AI so much? And I'm not even talking about the resume part. Now I'm talking about you got these people advertising these freaking AI tools that's supposed to help them in interviews.
AI apply and all that kind
Well,
of
not
stuff.
the AI apply, but you have the people that use the thing that's on their screen where people are asking questions, so it's transcribing it for them so they can answer the questions. And the people not realizing like, hey, we know you're using AI because humans don't talk like this and answer questions like this. And we're asking you questions that you really can't answer with AI. And so now between them having to make sure you turn your camera on and know you're a real person and not use a deep fake and be somebody from North Korea, like it's a lot going on, dude. Candidates not know they making it worse for them and everybody else coming after them.
I mean, I think the candidates that it's just like a scammer, right? Like the person that's operating like that don't care. Like it's a volume game. So they just figure, if I run this fake play on as many companies as possible, like I'm gonna get somebody. Like I think that's their mindset. Now that is like the actual job scammer. Like I do now. If you're talking about like just a candidate that feel like I need a little extra assistance, and I'm gonna use this AI tool to kind of like give me responses. Honestly, I think that could be beneficial if you practice how to use it. I think the issue is like if you're reading verbatim, like you say, like AI usually doesn't spit out something that talks the way you talk, and then like you can easily pick up on. Like I'm sure I use AI every day for my emails. It's baked into my email tool, and I'm sure my candidates or whoever I'm working with can know like when I just kind of told it to draft me something in response to this versus me actually coming across and saying something myself. That's not important because like I'm just trying to get the information across, right? Like I'm just trying to inform you or something versus you got to think about an interview process is you're actually trying to convince somebody that you know these things. And
yeah,
so
that's the whole issue.
And so like if you're just reading that verbatim, it's just like I already don't trust you. Like you don't look like you know what you're talking about, and you might know you might be smart, and so like you're actually using a tool that you don't even need instead of why don't you just prep before you actually come and use AI to just kind of give you kind of like a baseline of topics versus like trying to respond in real time. To me, like that's crazy. I just don't see how that can actually come across. That's like you ask me a question and I'd be like, so what you know what I'm saying? It's just like that's
how it was. He
it's
said,
not natural.
I got a past client. I had referred some people to this role, and he was telling me like why the role wasn't closed yet, and like what like they couldn't find nobody. He was like, man, the interviewers told us that they were interviewing people for this role because this role was like a pretty much an IC lead, so pretty much a person on that shift would be the lead. He said these people couldn't answer basic questions, but yet they had the perfect resume, and they couldn't even think through different things. So it's like
I do for you. So
that's the thing. It's like I tell everybody, hey, I mean, you can try to oversell yourself if you want to, but it's gonna backfire on you. I can understand why they want to because it's a role, it's a very attractive role from the pay and the company, and it'll be cool. But you better off just being you and messing up versus
me myself personally. I have a fear that and it's not imposter syndrome. I don't believe in that, but I have a fear of, to your point, like I don't never want to put myself in a situation where I lied to get there, and then now like I get found out as a fraud. Like that's my fear.
That happens.
Like even if I run the scam and I get hired, and then like I'm constantly, having to have one-on-ones with people because it's like, hey, like you missed this deadline, like this work was shoddy. You didn't respond to this, and like I'm just looking like a complete failure because I misrepresented myself to get in. Like to me, it's just like, damn, like I that would be hard for me to bounce back from. It's just I'd rather, I'd rather be who I am, and they just tell me like, you're not quite, what we're looking for. We need
You're not
somebody
that guy, pal.
right? Like, because then I know I can go work on it and get better. But to kind of, and I'm not even talking about embellishing. I'm talking about like a complete fabrication of who I am to get in the door. Like, you're gonna get found out, especially if they're excited about it and they think that if you're getting hired to do something that nobody else in the company knows how to do, and all that is on your shoulders.
But the crazy thing,
you're gonna crash and burn.
But that's why the crazy thing is like, how did you fool the interviewers to get picked for this role? So that's the part of the hiring process thing, whatever. Like I said, recently some of the roles I've had to do, they've had me do like take home assignments or whatever stuff I could have clearly. Well, some of I really couldn't clearly just cheat on. Like
some people interview very well though. I can't say that, and I think that's the part that's broken in hiring. I feel like there are great candidates that don't get hired because they don't know how to interview. And then there are, poor and mediocre candidates.
Listen,
that get hired because they interview very well.
We know this to be true just growing up with the homies or whatever. You got your homie that's a good guy, but he can't really get the chick because he just don't have a good mouthpiece. And you got the dude who pretty much ain't worth nothing, but he got a mouthpiece and he can get them all.
Right. Because he carry himself different. Like he just got the confidence and he shoot the shots. And that's the thing. Like if you shoot enough shots, like
one gonna go in.
Yeah, one gonna go in, and then also like missing them don't mean nothing to you no more. You know what I'm saying? Versus the person who like, oh yeah, like I tried, I failed, I'm never gonna try again. Like you gonna live in constant fear. And so everyone say it's plenty of, and that's what recruiters try to figure out on those first or second call or however we're interacting with them. Cause and that's the point of the interview process. And as much as I have, my complaints about interviews and how they're ran, I do understand the point because it like if you hire someone that you feel like you've solved the problem, right? Like, okay, like we needed this person, we hired this person, and you thinking I can move on to the next thing. And not only does this person not fix the problem, they themselves become a problem. So now you have two problems. Like that's honestly where a lot of issues come from with people, not trusting companies and recruiters and stuff like that. Is because literally they're operating because they've been burned before, and this is going to impact them in a way that they don't want to, they don't want to have to live with. And that's also why some interview processes take so long, because they're scared to make a decision. So they literally they try to share the blame. So they have you meet with all these people so that if you do get hired, one person can't be blamed for, that hiring decision. Like they spoke with 5 different people and we all said yes. And sometimes it's that simple. It's just sharing the blame. But I like I say, I've seen people get hired and it go left real fast. Like as soon as they sign that offer letter, they become a problem. And it's just like, and then you start to look at their behaviors and how they operate, and you can tell like you done did this before. Like you run like this how you operate. Like you've done this before. That, and then it starts to make sense why they did 8 months with this company, a year and 2 months with this company, 4 months with this company. It's like you start seeing like, yeah, like you a problem. Like you a consistent problem, and you've gotten good at interviewing, and you probably lied about why you separated from those companies and stuff like that. But your skill set, your experience, your knowledge, and the way you come across, and you probably had some element of attractiveness. Like all these things go into play, right? Like people want to believe that you are as good as you say you are. Like we really do. And so like if you're able to kind of put all that together into a nice formula and sell it to somebody, you'll keep getting job offers. You'll keep fooling the next person. And I think some people honestly have made that their career, right? Versus actually trying to learn the actual skill. Like they've created the skill of like, oh, I'll get hired. I'll get a job. And I know how to stretch it out for at least like 6 to 8 months. I'll stir up some shit and I'll sue them. It's literally people out here who do that. Like they've had like multiple lawsuits with like every company they've gone to because they'll start to claim it's some sort of discrimination, or they didn't get the proper training, or their boss was trying to bully them. And and then like I'll know the people that they're accusing of doing these things, and be like, nah, that person ain't like that. Like, yeah, they running the play. But yeah, like but that's why people are so hesitant to pull the trigger on those hires sometimes, because as bad as something may be without that person at the company, it can be worse if you hire the wrong person. So I do get it.
Nah, facts, man. So like we ran out of time, but two things. First and foremost, how can the listeners keep in contact with you?
LinkedIn all day, man. That's where I'm at. So Nate Wiley on LinkedIn. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Career Hacker Nate. Those are usually the only two I mainly use. So LinkedIn is probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
If they want to email me directly, I don't know what they want to talk about, but it's Nate at infinatetalent.com. If you got a question or if you just want to connect more personably than LinkedIn.
Yeah, and you spell Wiley Wylie.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, we're gonna bring Nate probably I think I need to get him for a live episode, like a live stream where we could bring people on, kind of like a quote unquote consultation, because we had a lot of questions I couldn't get to. And I think it really is about to start heating up because we had some stuff that just brought up towards the end that we could have really went in on. But appreciate you for pulling up today, man.
Thank you, brother.
It's been a great conversation. And like I always say, let's stay textual, and we out. Peace.
It's out.
Man, the crazy thing is I thought I was recording this into my StreamYard the whole time. I wasn't. However, I knew I was already recording it